All right, well, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for letting me crash the meeting, the board meeting. I want to thank Rod and Bill, Caleb, everybody else here. Who else I'm looking at? Oh, I got some real great Alaskans. You guys know Elena and Chad on my team. I think you get a sense of how important the issues that the Alaska Outdoor Council focuses are to me in my office. I think I have some of the best staff of any of the congressional delegations, certainly that focus on this, care about it. I always like to say the AOC, and then, you know, I'm in DC, and AOC is a different, like, I don't know if you remember when I was at the banquet last year and I looked and I said, I'm so glad I'm able to say this because I can't say it when I'm back in DC, but I love AOC. Well, I do, but not that one. She's definitely part of the problem. Look, so first I just wanted to thank you guys, right, on so many issues that we all work together on. And this is someone's cell phone here. I don't know if that's okay. Sorry, Jason. Okay. You know, that we see you as partners on everything and just really appreciate it. It's Second Amendment, it's hunting and fishing rights, it's just access. And, you know, I don't want to like overplay it here, but we are under assault. It is just, I mean, the Biden administration makes Obama look like Reagan, right? It is just non-stop. And by the way, hunting rights directed from the White House, just hunting rights in Alaska are a priority of these guys to shut it down. I mean, it's kind of remarkable how much attention we get from them. So we all got to be working together, right? We all have to be, and I hopefully you feel it, I feel it, but I'm telling you, I was just saying to Elena, I just got off the plane last night, you know, I have a lot of energy, right? One thing I don't lack is I don't need sleep. They teach that, you know, in the Marine Corps. But just lately, it's just so constant that we just all got to work together and buck each other up. So you may have heard, and one of the reasons I was late, you know, the last just 10 days, I will tell you, I've been working on this National Park Service rule at the highest levels, right? I have had a couple very, very, very frank phone calls with Mr. Sams that I will tell you about here in a minute. At a minimum, to get him to grant the extension that the state wanted. We got that, but that, again, took like a battle royale just to get the extension. But the other big issue we've been working on is this Willow project, and hopefully you're all tracking that. That is a gigantic oil and gas project, huge for the future of our state. And there's a big press report out that the Biden administration approved the one that we want. Just came out. Now, what is that? I know exactly what that is. That's one of the radical lefties in the Biden White House who thinks that maybe they did approve it. So he leaked it. I'm almost positive who it is. He leaked it to get a really crappy story. So every radical environmental group in America is calling Biden right now to say, don't do it. So the record decision on that has not been signed yet. So this guy's literally trying to undermine it. So don't believe what's in the paper yet. It's still just a giant battle. But hopefully some of you know, and I wanted to mention Willow because it's a broader context. You may have heard we had the delegation last Thursday had a meeting with the president on this project. I've been asking for that meeting for over a year. And we finally got it. And the one thing I wanted you all to know is at the beginning of the meeting, in addition to handing the president a resolution, which I really appreciated, from the Alaska State Legislature, every member of the legislature in the House and the Senate voted for this resolution. It was a resolution for the Willow project. It was pretty good, right? It was quite good. It was actually something I had requested the legislature to do during my annual address to the legislature. So I handed that to the president, say, Mr. President, I know some people say Alaskans aren't united on this project. Every single elected official in Juneau is for this. Here's your resolution. I want to personally hand it to you. And then I handed him this map. So take a look at this map that my team came up with. And I said, you know, respectfully, sir, the context of this Willow decision is based on this. I said, you and your administration are crushing my state. 45 executive orders and executive actions singularly focused on Alaska. And I just walked them through this. I said, every region of the state, every interest of the state, oil, gas, mining, fishing, hunting. Oh, by the way, native allotments for Alaska Native Vietnam veterans, you're screwing them too, which is kind of amazing that you would do that. And then I showed them on the back, if you look at the back of this, it has the executive orders and the dates. And the reason these dates are interesting is because it shows when we've been to the White House to say, hey, can you let up? Can we get a ceasefire here? And then every time we have one of those meetings, they screw us even more, right? I mean, so I walked him through this. You know, as your senator, I wanted him to know, like, you know, I was respectful. You're in the Oval Office with the President of the United States, but I was not going to be shy. I think Last Frontier Lockup isn't very shy to hand him this. But, so of course, there's hunting lockups as part of this. And, you know, the ones that we've been focused on, and I know the ones that you guys care about a bunch, among a whole other host of issues, but the most immediate is the Park Service rule. Now, I called the head of the National Park Service, Director Sams. I don't know if Elena was on the call. Oh, yeah. Okay. And when this initially came out, and I said, hey, look, I got such a big problem with you right now. And here's why. I had you guys might remember, I had a hold on him, right? I was the one blocking his confirmation. And last Congress. And so, you know, when you have a hold on someone, you can get leverage from them. So I said, and I had a couple senators who liked him, said he was a good guy, and, you know, he seemed like he was okay. So I said, all right, here's the deal. We have to have a discussion. And the discussion was, if I lift my hold, you're going to do two things. A, you and all your senior leadership are going to get ANILCA training. All right? He didn't know what ANILCA was. You're going to have, is John Sturgeon here? You're going to read the John Sturgeon VENA cases, right? Okay, so that was a commitment. And then the other one, which should be a no-brainer, anytime you are doing anything solely focused on Alaska, you're going to reach out to me and my team and tell me what it is. So I can get groups like you guys involved at the beginning before they issue anything. Okay? Okay, Senator. Okay, then I'll lift my hold. So I did. So when I called him, I don't know, a few months ago, it was not a pleasant phone call because I said, you lied to me, man. You lied to me. Whatever the Biden administration thinks about me, Senator Dan Sullivan, the one thing I never do, I never lie to people. You lied to me because you committed, and by the way, had I not lifted the hold, you would have never gotten confirmed. Schumer's not going to burn floor time in the Senate for someone like you. So your whole commitment was you're going to come to me and my team and our stakeholders and let us know when you're focused singularly on Alaska. So I said to him, what I want you to do is rescind the rule, start over, right? Work with my Alaskans who know these issues better than you do, and don't do this top-down, shove it down our throat thing. So he said he would get back to me, and they'd look at doing that, and they really didn't. And and the other commitment I got him is to talk to Doug Vincent Lang. They're not even returning Doug's phone calls. So so they finally did that, but then we said at a minimum we want an extension so everybody here can weigh in and we try to start over. And we weren't even getting that. So this weekend I had to call him again, and it was another very, frank phone call So the point is not to depress everybody here, but I want you to know that on these issues, we are really, really working it. And I think because all of us working together, you might remember the battle royale we had on the last, not Park Service, but Fish and Wildlife Service reg that targeted hunting in Alaska, which was almost identical to this one, by the way, that we won the giant battle royale on what's called the Congressional Review Act resolution, which allows Congress to rescind an executive order from the executive branch, like a law. And we were able to do that, and we won. That thing got rescinded. That thing's gone. Thanks to you and others. That was huge. That was a giant battle. And so will we be able to do something like that again on this one? Maybe. The House would take it up and kill it, and then they bring it over, even though we're not in the Republicans aren't in control. The last time we did this, I led it on the Fish and Wildlife Service reg. We got a couple Democrats to join us. So we're not done fighting on this one at all. And I just wanted you guys to know it's complicated, it's frustrating, because it's pretty much the identical language on the one that we killed. And so we will keep working this closely with all of you. We will try to kill it again, where it's a little harder when you don't have majority control in the Senate. But, and to be honest, like you might remember in 2017, that was a battle, right? The PETA groups and everything, they were pressuring senators in Florida, Indiana, Arizona, the Republicans, saying, don't vote for this Sullivan bill. And we had a lot of education to do. But anyways, I wanted to just give you an update on that. And then certainly if you guys have any comments for me and my team or issues, want to hear from them. But I just want to, I know this was kind of unscheduled, but I wanted to come and thank you for all you're doing for us. Not just this, but I mean, you're representing and defending values and core principles that almost every Alaskan cares about, even if they don't hunt and fish. And it's access, it's freedom, and it's really important. And we got to be doing it together. So the battle's going to continue. I hate to say it. The ceasefire on the 45, by the way, there was, like 2 days after the meeting with the president, they did another one of these executive orders. You may have read the story about this memo on Cook Inlet where they were purposely cranking up the royalties as high as they could to make sure nobody bid on leases just in Cook Inlet. I mean, this stuff's going all the way to the White House. They're just trying to totally screw us. So we'll see on Willow. That could come out any minute. A lot of games being played back in DC as we speak, but that one is gigantic for the whole future of the state, in my view. So we'll keep fighting it. Thanks for all you're doing. And I just wanted to come in and tell you what we're up to. Yes.
Oil. Should we tell them we're drilling for lithium?
Look, there's so many, there's so much bizarreness to this.
The oil can be bypassed.
Yeah, there you go. That would be good. I mean, look, the one issue that I've raised on, not to stick on Willow, but you guys, I mean, you guys all care about issues beyond the AOC issues, I know. But I will say this, the one issue that I've raised, and I raise it with the president too, and no one, for 2 years I've raised this issue, and when you do it to a Biden administration official, they have no answer, right? They have no answer, and they just look at you. They never say anything because they can't respond. But the one big one, you know, these guys were trying to limit the production of American energy, not trying, they're successfully doing it all over, killing infrastructure to make it harder to move American energy, and then pressuring banks and financial institutions to not invest in American energy. You're like, why would you do that? So of course the prices of energy and gas go way up in the first 2 years of this administration due to their own self-inflicted policies, wounds. So they start going overseas to Saudi Arabia and Iran and Venezuela to beg them for more oil. I mean, they're literally doing that. So they just lifted sanctions on Venezuela, and we are now importing over 100,000 barrels a day from Venezuela. This is a terrorist regime, horrible human rights record, horrible labor record, and for all the enviros, this place has the worst record on the environment of any place in the world. And emissions from production is 20 times higher, 20 times with an X, than Alaska. And so you look at it and go, well, if we need oil, why would you import 100,000 barrels a day from an enemy with horrible human rights records and horrible environment, as opposed to letting us in Alaska produce with our highest standards in the world on the environment? And they just look at you and they have no answer. Like, there is no answer to that. I pressed the president on it and he just looked at me, no answer. So there's a lot of insanity, but maybe we should tell them it's lithium and I don't know, some name something. Maybe they're underground windmills and we can mine those. And
He wouldn't know any different.
yeah, no comment. Yes.
Senator Sullivan, we all appreciate you showing up. It means a lot to us. Two questions I have is, what's the chances of the Willow project passing?
Well, look, we're going to find out any minute here, and I think we're supposed to find out today. They gave us a timeline. It was actually supposed to be March 6th, this final record of decision. You know, I don't know. We were told that going into that meeting last Thursday night that it was looking like, so remember, Trump administration already approved this. Chad Padgett was the BLM director under Trump. You guys might remember, did a great job. So they had 5 pads. The EIS was all the professional staff, the professional scientists in our federal government do a good job. The Biden administration came back with their EIS and said 3 pads, okay? We were like, well, we don't like that. You're limiting it. That's a 40% reduction already. But we can live with it because Conoco thinks they could still produce from that. So we've been telling them any further limitation on the project size and scope, like down to 2 pads, will kill the project. So we said to the president directly, 2 pads is a rejection, and we will treat it like that. Don't be cute. Oh, we did 2 pads, but Conoco in the state of Alaska won't produce, so bad on them. That's bullshit. They all know that's bullshit. We told them directly that that was bullshit. And we told the White House that in meetings in December. So they might try to be cute and go 2 pads and say, what's the matter with that? Hey, well, that would be bad. So we were told before that meeting that it was you know, that it was kind of a done deal against us. We told after the meeting, I mean, we pressed them on everything Venezuela. The other one that I'm really liking is, and this is a great argument coming from our Alaska Native leaders. You know, the Native community in Alaska is fully behind this. Not everybody, they quote a couple people who are the outliers, but all the big organizations, so, you know, I, again, respectfully, but said to the president, hey, you guys talk about racial equity, environmental justice. Okay, the Native people of our state want this. And what they're starting to say is, if you listen to lower 48 groups who try to come up to Alaska, tell natives how to live their lives, some of our Alaska Native leaders are starting to call that the second wave of colonialism. Eco-colonialism. I love that phrase. Hopefully you've seen, I've been on the news a lot lately, and I've been using eco-colonialism like crazy because it blows the minds of liberals in the lower 48 groups who are coming up here telling the Native people how to live their lives. Well, that's eco-colonialism. So we raised that in the Oval Office. They didn't like it. But I think those arguments are helpful. Same with labor. President Biden talks about, oh, he's big, you know, blue collar, Joe Biden. Okay, every major union, every major contractor in America, not just Alaska, wants this project. This project estimates for jobs, 2,500 jobs to build this thing. And we could start tomorrow. Conoco would deploy people tomorrow. So we pressed all those arguments really hard with him, and a lot of times, as you know, he doesn't hear that stuff. So you can see, geez, I didn't know the labor guys were so strong on this. So I don't know. I just still think it's kind of a flip of the coin. We just got this news that they had approved it, but I'm very skeptical because I think that's an anti-Willow person leaking it to the press to get all the enviros to go, they're one kind of frenzied, crazy pressure on the president. So it's a lot of games being played right now. It's really, did you have something, Chad, on that? Or?
Yeah, I'm just gonna let you know the White House press secretary just answered no decision.
There you go. So that was a I know exactly who it was too. What's that jerk's name?
Actually, I forget the last.
Alley somebody? Yeah, he's a real bad.
Senator, didn't they want to trade Willow for land and for us to back off this water fight, navigable water fight? Wasn't that part of the negotiation?
No, I never heard that. There's all kinds of rumors, but look, I've been involved in every minute detail of this for 2 years. Like I've been living Willow every 30 minutes because this is so important for us. It really, really, really is. And so we'll see. So that was that's exactly what that radical lefty in the White House wanted, to put out a story that was going to be, you could tell it was a leak because the story was horrible. This project is a so-called climate bomb, all this baloney enviro stuff. It's all untrue. The Biden administration's own environmental impact statement, all we're asking them is approve the EIS that they just did. That's it, 3 pads. Their own environmental impact statement called it minimal greenhouse gas emissions. Minimal, that's their language. 0.125% of 2019 emissions, which is minimal. 0.125%. That's minimal. But anyways, you can see I've kind of been living this day and night. I'm sorry, I'm a little obsessed with it.
Senator, let's take it back to hunting.
Yeah, Rod.
Okay, all right, let's assume that NPS goes through with their proposed rulemaking
Yeah,
on banning predator-prey management on NPS lands. All right, and then after that, let's suppose that we can talk the governor into publishing a statement that the state will no longer respect the federal regulations for hunting. Then what?
well, look, I think my own view on what we would look to do is, now this is more in the governor's realm, but I think we should sue on it for sure.
Well, that's the point, is to get there. So then you would support the governor if he did that, the congressional delegation?
On
Would
this-
support the governor if he says, okay, you come sue us?
On this rule? Yeah. Oh, yeah. But you'd have another angle, which would be to try to do another congressional review act, right? Like we did last time. Now, the problem with that is, remember, last time we were able to get all these congressional review acts done because it was the end of Obama. You get 90 days in which to file one of these. They were doing that at the end of Obama. We started filing them at the beginning of Trump. They passed during Trump, and then these are laws. So the president has to sign it, right? So of course, Trump signed my resolution, which killed the Obama rule that was just like this, but it was Fish and Wildlife Service. The problem here is if the House would pass this, a rule rescinding the reg, the Senate would be a little tougher, but I think we could maybe get there. But then if it went to the president, he would probably veto it. But it's worth the fight, in my view. It's worth the fight. So we would have to work closely with you guys and your affiliated groups in other states, because remember, this would be senators, like it was in 2017, voting on a regulation that only impacted Alaska, but all of them would have to be voting with us. And I will tell you, in 2017, that was a little dicey. You guys might remember that. The big anti-groups were doing big ads in Florida, targeting Marco Rubio and McCain, John McCain in Arizona, Todd Young in Indiana, and these senators are all coming to me like, what the hell am I, they're attacking me, I don't even know, what do you guys do with bears? And you know, we had to do a lot of explaining. I did tell everybody, my team will personally write the constituent letter notes to all your constituents so we'll answer this very detailed. So we have some cards to play, Rod, but it's, you know, it's not, I'm just being honest, it's not as favorable it was when it was in 2017, because that was perfect timing. Obama issued the regs, he left office. We had a new president who would sign the legislation if it passed, and Trump did sign it. So we'll see. All right, anything else? Yes, sir.
On the 21st of May, we'll be seeing you, Safari Club International will be doing their board meeting, and we will be on the Hill.
Oh,
We will be presenting our pamphlets of all the concerns with the state bill, Senate bills and House bills, and we'll be giving those, going around everybody, all the congressmen and all your senators.
Great.
Receiving that packet.
could you
21st of May.
could you include this Park Service rule?
It will definitely be in there, sir.
Good, because you guys, the SCI also played a really, really critical role when we got this done in 2017. It's the same thing. The language is almost identical, it's just different land. Okay. Okay, anything else, you guys? Again, thanks for letting me, sorry I turned this into a Willow thing, but I got Willow on my mind, and it does matter for all of us. It really does, and it's issues of access, this issue of federal overreach, it's just at a gigantic scale right now, but so is this Park Service rule. Yeah, Eddie?
I don't know how long most of you been in the state, but I was here before it was a state. And the Willow Project is really important. People like me understand that very well because we knew then that we didn't have any income coming in for the winter because there was no jobs back in the 50s. Everybody lived off the land or construction jobs in the summertime. We lose Willow, things like that, we're gonna have a hard time surviving in the state.
Yeah. I mean, I told the president, well, this is an inflection point for our economy. And I even said, look, I've gone to Democrat senators, and by the way, to their question, I've gotten 10 Democrat senators to call the White House saying, for God's sakes, man, can you guys let up on Alaska? And at least let them develop the Willow Project? It's in the National Petroleum Reserve of Alaska, right? This is not like Hanwha or something. NPRA was set aside 70 years ago for oil and gas drilling. NPRA was never controversial until Biden. Now they're trying to say we're going to make it into a wilderness. You can't do that. It's a law. So I appreciate your point on it, but yeah, it's a really, really big deal for the future of our state. And I will tell you though, we're fighting it every day, every darn day. So hopefully you guys see that. But thanks for all you're doing. You guys are doing an incredible job, and we just got to stay united on some of these big issues because and they're all connected, right? They're all connected. Willow's connected to the, NPS rule. There's no doubt in my mind, because a lot of this is directed directly from the White House to the agencies, which is really kind of scary when you think about it. We're that much of a target. Yeah,
Is there anything that just the ordinary citizen can do?
On the Willow issue, or just on all 45 of these? Oh, I mean, I'll tell you guys, elections have consequences. They really do. And gosh, it's, yeah, they really do. I mean, just look at that. Look at that map. They're just crushing us. And again, I don't want you guys, my point isn't to depress people. I'm just giving you the reality. But I also want you to know what we're doing. I mean, I handed that map to the President of the United States and walked him through it and said, these are all, and I said this directly, these are all driven by lower 48 environmental groups who are your administration's allies, and they're killing us. Like, how about a ceasefire? So we need it, but vote. I mean, you know, I think some of the, Chad might be able to jump in. I think some of the, you know, the federal agencies who are based in Alaska, you know, I think some of those people are pretty good, making sure they're hearing our voices. It's the radical lefties and their allies in DC who direct all this stuff. Look, here's the truth of it. And why, I mean, why is Willis? Some of you hopefully has seen, I've been giving speeches about, so, you know, the enviros call this the climate bomb and all this baloney, right? Meanwhile, New Mexico, where Deb Haaland's from, and 2 liberal US senators, their oil production is going like this on federal lands. They've increased production in the last 4 years by 700,000 barrels a day, increased. They're 1.7 million. A gigantic increase by the Secretary of Interior's home state. 52% of every federal leases for oil and gas drilling in America under the first years of Biden have gone to New Mexico, the home state of the Secretary of Interior. Can you imagine if that was a Republican administration? Oh my God, the New York Times and Washington Post would be writing a front page story. I can't get anyone to write that story. No one. Like, whoa, aren't you reporters interested? Like, all the real climate bomb in America is New Mexico. Here are the numbers. And oh, by the way, it's Deb Haaland sending all this stuff to her own state. And this senator who I really don't like, named Martin Heinrich. I get along well with almost every senator, but not this guy, because he's constantly attacking Alaska, constantly. I'm always like, what the hell? Why do you always come after my state? Right? I've had very cross words with him. The reason I'm mentioning this is, so then why do the environmental groups all come after us? It's a very cynical fundraising ploy, right? I mean, Willow, they supposedly got 7 million people to petition. Well, what are they going to do with those petitions when the grandmother from Connecticut sends her petition name and address and email? We know what they're going to do. They're going to fundraise off her, right? Alaska is the perfect fundraising vehicle for these lower 48 groups. And that's another reason we always get targeted. And it's frustrating for all of us. So, well, thank you guys. I really appreciate it. And sorry to yeah. The trawler industry? Or are you talking about then troll or trawl?
Trawler bycatch.
Yeah, I have a bill that just passed that you guys should like. It's called the Alaska Salmon Research Task Force Act. And here's the whole purpose of the bill. And I think, so there's a gap in terms of federal research dollars or any kind of research dollar that go to the question of what's happening to the salmon in Alaska. What's happening? Why are we seeing some runs that are, you know, go to Bristol Bay with the sockeye? It's historic. You go like where I spend every summer at my wife's family's fish camp. They haven't even been able to fish for four summers in a row. The Yukon's been closed because the king runs are so horrible. And so the question is, what is it? What's causing that? And there are many theories. Trawl, bycatch is certainly one. The numbers, as you probably know from the early 2000s, were way higher than they are now, but is that an element? I'm sure that's an element. But to bring the best scientists and the best at state, feds, university, traditional knowledge, why is this happening? And believe it or not, no one's really done that yet. And one of the reasons is you guys know the state manages the harvest of salmon, okay? But the salmon live a lot of their life out in the big ocean. Well, who does the research out in the big ocean? It's the feds. But because the feds don't manage to harvest the salmon, they don't do a lot of research on what the salmon are doing, what's happening to the salmon when they're out in the ocean. And so there's this huge gap in research on what the problem is. Is it bycatch? Is it predation? Is it warming of the waters? Is it, there's one thing that's happening, that as the kind of fry are heading back out, right? They're dying very quickly. Like they're not living. Once they leave the river systems and go back out in the ocean, there's a lot of research showing that 3 or 4 or 5 month period, they're having horrible mortality rates right then. Why is that? So that my bill passed, and what I tried to do, and I think you guys are aware of it, Rod, I think you guys support it. It's just saying, I'm not, no agenda. Some of the fishing community was, hey, what are you up to? Why are you doing this, Dan? I just said, come on, you guys, you trust me. I just want the best minds in the world and the Fed dollars that are lacking to figure out what it is, because we all want to fix this. I think we all want to fix this. So that passed, and we're going to follow up. So hopefully, is it bycatch? Is it other things? Is it the combo? The whole point of my legislation is put a lot of dollars, the best minds, into saying, okay, what's the problem? Because we all know we got a problem. I see it personally in my family's fishing, and I know it's horrible, right? So we're on it. Good question. I get it a lot. Okay, thanks again, everybody. Really appreciate all the great work you guys are doing. Thanks.